What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of What the Puck. They came back. Jeff and Drew are back. We got a lot to talk about. Today, we're going to be talking about the Western Conference and talking about the Western Conference playoff previews and predictions. As you can see, Drew is sporting his Predators jersey. Super pumped. I got my BLACKHAWKS stuff. Jeff's still in the Eastern Conference. We're all good. And that's what we feel like, a bunch of jerks. It's all good. Guys, how we doing, man?
I'm actually doing pretty good. I had to do last minute research. Been kind of busy this week helping out friends, family, and well, I'm a single boy, party boy, so I was also living the life up too on vacation. Yeah, but I had to do all my research like within the last 3.5 hours. So if I kind of slip, it's because I'm still scrambling everything.
Hey, I did the same thing, man. You're all good. Drew, what's up, buddy? This is your day.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm stoked. Finally, something I can talk about. Only took one episode, right? Yeah, man. It's been a good week, man. Hanging out, working. You know, it's hot. South is hot. You know, people are like, you can't skate in the South. Well, it's because the ice don't freeze. So, anyways.
It's hot all over.
Man, you go out to Arizona and they say, oh, it's a dry heat. Here, it's like completely moist. 100%. I apologize to any listeners who have a problem with the word moist at a time. That's an issue. Nah, man, just been a hot week, man.
Yeah.
Moist, you asked that question?
No.
Moist Jaw, Saskatchewan.
No, man.
Or near Moisty, New Brunswick, where they love shucking moisters.
Dude, all I know is I was watching, totally off topic, so I love Jim Gaffigan. And he has his new special on Amazon, and he did his first episode in Canada. Yo,
that's fantastic.
He talked so much shit about Regina. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. So if you're going to watch a comedy special, and it's a hockey show, we'll talk about Canada a little bit. Check out Jim Gaffigan's special because he just shits on Regina like no other. It is so funny. He calls them a bunch of perverts because of the name. So funny. It's one of the
Don Cherry would get along.
Oh, dude.
Bunch of perverts.
But yeah, man, I mean, big news out of the NHL this week. And since this is the Western Conference playoff preview, 32nd team was announced this week, the Seattle Kraken. I think that's fucking amazing. They finally did it right. Like, I think they missed this. They missed it with Vegas. The Golden Knights thing is stupid. I'm sorry. I know, Jeff, your buddy is the Golden Knight. But
it's all good.
They completely missed the mark on that one, in my opinion. And I think this time they hit the nail on the head with the name, the color scheme, the way they brought the team out. It was awesome, and it was great for the NHL to see. I mean, the Seattle Kraken, I mean, there's so much they can do with that. Like, I saw a post on Twitter where it said, if Liam Neeson before every game doesn't come on and say, release the Kraken, I'm going home. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. And, I mean, the way the color scheme is, I mean, I'm pre-ordering that jersey regardless. I don't give a crap. And the anchor with the Space Needle, dude, they just hit it. They hit it for sure. Super excited to see, that rivalry. We're talking about Vancouver here first coming up, but that rivalry with Vancouver and Seattle and where that goes. And because they're so close, and actually, it'll be good for Vancouver too. Because, they have a rivalry with Calgary and all that, but this is like 2 hours away. Like, this is close. They don't have to cross mountains or anything to get to it. They just have to drive 2 hours south or north, and it's there. And that's going to be awesome to me. I mean, what do you guys think on this whole Seattle Kraken?
Go ahead, Drew.
Man, let me tell you something, dude. So I was actually sick the day when they announced the team.
Oh,
so I'm laying at home, and my buddy texted me. He's like, Seattle Kraken. I'm like, oh, they went with the name. I'm like, how's the logo looking? I'm like, it's got this really cool old English vibe, and then you got the tentacle through the center with the red eye. Dude, it's just a sick-looking logo.
Yeah.
The name is perfect to me. It fits. I mean, some people might be like, well, the Kraken's more Atlantic mythology or whatever if you subscribe to that type of stuff. But, like, I think it's just cool. The whole theme of it being the sea and especially with the Vancouver rivalry, like you guys said, now there's plenty of space to have multiple interactions and have a really good, solid rivalry in that part of the country. So,
sure.
like, yeah, they killed it with the logoing and the color schemes. They're sharp. I want one. No, I want two.
Oh, for sure. I want the home and away.
As
What
for
about you,
me,
man?
I think you guys all saw the joke that I sent on. It was either Thursday or Friday. But I'd love if they drafted a guy by the name of Phil from Scotland with the MC as the initials, just so I could say it's Phil McKraken for the Seattle McKrakens.
Yeah.
And I'd even get a jersey that says McKraken.
Yay, McKraken.
Dude, that should be the mascot. Should be like a Kraken, but just call him McKraken and let him
Yeah.
wear the kilt. That'd be hilarious. There's no way you can do that. There's so much to do. There's so much to do with the name. They nailed it. The marketing team nailed it. And the way they put it out there, the video and all that, it was just top notch in my opinion. I purposely made it a point to roast Vegas for that, because it's just Vegas came on like the Golden Knights, and I feel they missed the mark, man. Like I feel Vegas could have been like the Aces or something like that, or something cool that embodies Vegas. Like you don't go to Vegas and the Golden Knights. Like yeah, I get, it's cool. The guy went to West Point, the owner, and he wanted to do something like that, and with the military, and I get that, but I don't know. I love it. Absolutely can't wait to see when they come out. The expansion draft's going to be a blast, just like it was for Vegas.
My thing with that is the tagline for this expansion draft is, "What team will sacrifice their players to the Kraken?"
That's
like
there's so much to do. Their marketing around it is just great, and I'm excited to see what they do. Because I spoke about the arena, how it's going to be completely self-sufficient, where there's not going to be any waste. Amazon has the rights to it, but they're calling it oh man, I forget the name now. Stupid. I should have thought about it.
Climate Pledge Arena.
There you go. You're awesome.
Yeah.
Climate Pledge Arena. And it's super cool because if you take the bus or public transportation to the game, it's free if you go to an event there. If you're going to an event at the arena, transportation is free to kind of discourage use of cars and parking and craziness. And I think that's awesome. Self-sufficient. All the food's going to be donated after. Like there's going to be no waste, no fumes of any kind, all electric. I mean, that's so awesome to me. And it's one of the first of its kind. They say it's going to be the greenest ice in the NHL with the use of reclaimed water. Like that's awesome. And I love the sound of that. And I really think they're going to do big things in Seattle. They've been aching for a pro team since the Supersonics left. Yeah, they had a team. They had a hockey team for a while. I think they play in the WHL, the Seattle. It's like a totem pole or something like that. I don't know what they're called, but I mean they're there. They played at the Key Arena, but it's not a pro team. So it'll be a lot of fun to have. They obviously have soccer and baseball, but they haven't had anything in that arena in a while, and it's gonna look amazing. And the color scheme in there. Right there. Oh, dude, I can't wait for that. That's gonna be. I may have to tell the Blackhawks to go kick rocks. I may just become a Seattle fan. My wife's best friend and her husband live out in Seattle. Shout out to Claire and Adam. I'm excited for that. I hope I'm going out there for the first season, and I'm going to a game that first year because there's no way I'm gonna miss that if they allow people there. But yeah, we're gonna dive into these Western Conference playoff matchups. We're not gonna talk about the round robin. I really don't care. I think that's all a joke. I mean, obviously you have Dallas, Colorado. Help me out, guys. So it's Dallas, Louis, Colorado, St. Louis, and
Vegas.
Vegas.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about them. So those 14. Yeah,
that was quick. All it takes is one new expansion team to forget the old expansion team.
Yep, I'm done. I have a new love in my heart. Obviously, the Rangers and now Seattle Kraken. That's it. No, I mean, out of those four teams, obviously, in previous shows, I had my dark horse pick, and I've picked Dallas coming out of the West because I just feel that team is solid all around. They had a great year this year, goaltending, all that solid. But we're not going to talk about them. We're going to jump in to the first matchup, which is the 7-10 matchup between Vancouver and Minnesota. So you got the Vancouver Canucks and the Minnesota Wild. One of those series where, I mean, both of these teams were ranked in the top half of the league, 8th and 12th, as far as offense. So you're looking at an offensive, the Canucks, you got Brock Besser, Elias Peterson, Bo Horvat, Quinn Hughes chips in from the blue line every now and then. They're a solid team. I'm not big on the Wild. They stunk it up at the beginning of the year, and they came on at the end. They were very close to a playoff spot at the stoppage. But they don't wow me anywhere. Their goaltending is subpar this year. I mean, Dubnyk is, he's fallen down, and I like Devin Dubnyk. I have his T-shirt upstairs, but I didn't wear that one. I don't know. I mean, I think this is, again, one of those series where it comes down to goaltending in my eyes. And I see, this stoppage has been good for Vancouver. I mean, they're getting Markstrom back, and he's healthy. He was hurt. They came with the stoppage. Now he's back between the pipes. And, I mean, he's done so well for them this year in Vancouver. I mean, I don't know. I think their offense, is wherever it is. I mean, the Wild excel in their defense. I mean, Suter, Spurgeon, Dumba, all those guys. Top D in my eyes. It's going to be one of those things where it's going to come down to goaltending again. I personally, I don't know. I say Vancouver in 4 games, but I really, and this is where I'm going to go to Drew a little bit, because you see these guys a lot more than I do. Mm-hmm. I just started watching West Conference hockey a lot with the Blackhawks, so I never really dove in. The Wild are pretty much in your division. So, I mean, what do you think on that? We'll go to you first on this one.
As a Nashville fan, just to start off with, Minnesota has 3 of our former players. So that's like Fiala, Ryan Hartman, and, of course, the big, ugly idiot Ryan Suter. We're not going to go there. That's a long, tumultuous road. But no, Minnesota's got some top D. I mean, you got guys with 40 assists. I mean, between Suter and Spurgeon, I mean, you got a solid 60 assists. I mean, they're charting pretty well in points too, 69, 62. I mean, that's a good top line D. And then of course you guys got like Koivu and Foligno and Zuccarello on fourth and third. They're not bad. So I mean, the Minnesota Wild, I mean, they got a pretty good shot. I think I'm with you. Their strong point's always been their defense. They've always made the zone entry hard from the blue line, and it's always been difficult. And then when you flip over to the Canucks, granted, like at the pause, the Canucks were sitting at 36, 27, and 6. But I don't know. They have a young team. Horvat, Besser, Pearson, top line, just great goal scorers, fantastic playmakers. And then you got people like Tyler Toffoli and Elias Pettersson on second line that are just studs, like when they're out there. They play the ice so well. And then, yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to call, but, like, I don't know. I think it's going to be battle of the defense, and somebody needs to score quick and score early to get ahead. So I'm going to probably have this one go in Vancouver in 4.
Wow. Hey, and also, I mean, you forgot, I mean, old Ranger favorite, I mean, JT Miller. I mean, he's on that line with Peterson and Toffoli. You can't hate on that line at all. I mean, those top 2 lines for Vancouver are so good and so big. I mean, they play big. Toffoli, I mean, good Lord. I mean, it's their bottom 6 that worries me. But Yeah, I mean, I can't complain at all about Vancouver, and that's why, I mean, you look at the team compared to Minnesota. Like Minnesota, I think has the edge in defense, but when you got your top two lines like that can pop in a goal, and you got Quinn Hughes chipping in from the blue line, there, that's
It's
why I
complete
say,
chaos.
yeah. I mean, Jeff, what do you think?
I'm going to do opposite. I'm going to start off with Vancouver first, just to piggyback off of what you're saying.
Yeah.
As old as TJ Miller is, he's the veteran on the team pretty much for Vancouver. And he leads the team in points as well as assists. And with that being said, the blue line isn't the strongest in the league, but there's one thing that they do. I just said that. But
because we're all 6 years old at heart.
But there's one thing that Vancouver does is their goaltending relies and trusts their defense. It doesn't matter who's in net. They rely on each other, and they can trust each other no matter what. And between both teams, that's how the defense-goalie relationship has been, no matter who's in net. So that's one solid base. All you have to do now is work on the forwards. And when it comes to people putting the puck in the net, I think Minnesota has just a slight edge on that. Just a slight edge. They haven't been doing it as well as they should be. I think they should have done a lot better this year just because of the power that they have. They started doing it at the end of the year, but sometimes that's just not enough. I think they barely scaved away with getting into the playoffs with the system that it is now. Because I honestly think they would have started slipping within those last 10 to 12 games, losing points. No, I think this is going to be a goalie matchup. Get the puck in fast. Once you get the puck in, keep on going. To Foley, I mean, who saw that trade coming? Honestly, you're in the outdoor game for LA. You put the first hat trick in ever in LA, or in an outdoor game, and then it's for the Kings, and you get traded.
It's crazy.
Like that Monday. So, but yeah, with the young studs in Vancouver, as long as they get going quick, I know I'm bouncing back and forth with this series, but I see Vancouver in 4 games, 3-1 over Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing I did. And I also, I mean, we didn't really talk about this, but if you look at Vancouver's power play, is ridiculous. Yeah. They're 4th on the power play in the league, and they're also excellent at drawing penalties. So when you look at a team like that who's dangerous and they can draw penalties, and a team like Minnesota who's a little bit bigger, plays a little bit more physical, they're going to deal a lot of penalties over to Vancouver, and it's going to be bad. I don't think Dubnyk can hold Stalock as well. I know they're trying to groom him as the number 1, but
actually Stalock took over as the number 1. He's played more games this season than Dubnyk. And if correct, Dubnyk, his GPA is not as good as where it should be, and Stalock has actually played more games, has allowed fewer goals in throughout the season, so they've actually pruned him into being number 1.
I'm pretty sure you meant GAA, but we'll go with GPA.
Oh, yeah.
Say like he's in college, it's fine.
My apologies. His GAA. And then I was looking at the Vancouver side with the goaltending situation. I mean, you have Markstrom, but who do you put in? Someone that's got more goals or more GAA against them, but has more playoff experience in one game with Tampa, whereas the third-string goalie has a better record than Deming, but still put him in because he has 0 playoff experience or anything like that, but has a better save percentage.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be one of those series that I think I know I said goaltending, but I mean special teams is gonna play a huge part of this one. If Vancouver continues that momentum, which we all know there's no such thing as momentum in these playoffs, but if they can continue what they've done on the power play and special teams, period, this is a no-brainer to me. I mean, it could even go as a sweep, but I'm giving Minnesota a win just based on their defense. But there's no way. I don't think Minnesota has a chance in this series at all. I really think Vancouver just pounds away, and that's the end. I mean, They can shoot. I mean, they could shoot from anywhere. And you got guys chipping in from the blue line. I mean, it's gonna be tough for Minnesota to keep up. So I really think, like I said, 4 games. I think we all agree with that. I think Drew said the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go. Vancouver in 4. So we're going to move on to one of the more intriguing matchups in my eyes. And we're going to talk about the Calgary Flames and the Winnipeg Jets. I honestly think this series is going to be the roughest and one of the more edgier series in the playoffs between these two teams. The way they play, I think it's going to be an all-out physical brawl on the ice. And I'm not saying that there's going to be fights and all that, maybe. But when you have guys like Tkachuk and Lucic on Calgary and, they're physical, they play many times a year. I think they play 6 times a year. It's I don't know. This is going to be a tough series in my eyes. I'm very, very content. And I'll say this. I'll give my prediction now. I say that it's going to be Calgary in 5, but I'll explain why. So you have these guys, like I said, you got Lucic, you got Tkachuk out there. They're going to be banging all day, going headhunting after Line A, Wheeler, all these guys. It's going to be a tough series for these smaller guys and speedy guys in Winnipeg. But, I mean, man, that defense in Calgary is fantastic. I mean, in my opinion, you look at how Calgary plays the game. You have Giordano, you have, TJ Brody, Noah Hannafin, Rasmus Anderson. Their third defensive pairing is Derek Forbort, who they got from LA, and Eric Gustafsson. I mean, that's a hell of a lineup. And then you throw the offense in there, and I understand they don't have a lot of household names, Calgary, but you got Johnny Hockey, Johnny Gaudreau, Sean Monahan, and Elias Lindholm is your first line. Then you have Matthew Tkachuk, Michael Backlund, who's getting up there, and Andrew Mangiapane, who's coming up in his career. I mean, Sam Bennett will chip in every once in a while. Derek Ryan, Tobias Ryder, he'll do his thing. Tobias Ryder was okay with Arizona. But past their 2 lines, I'll even say 1.5, they don't have much offense. I think it's defense where they come through. And I do like their goaltending. David Rittich, Cam Talbot, obviously their starter, who I'm extremely familiar with. Jeff, you are too. I mean, killed it in New York when Henrik went down that time, made a name for himself and turned him into a starting goalie in my eyes. He hasn't really come into his own as a starter. I mean, he struggled in Edmonton. And he's been okay in Calgary. I mean, obviously, yeah, he's taken them to the playoffs. They would have been the number 8 seed if it would have continued. But, I mean, they kill it, man. I mean, that goalie tandem right there between their defense. And I also think this is going to come down to special teams, too. When you have a power play unit with Tkachuk, Monahan, Gaudreau, Lindholm, and Gustafsson, I mean, that's just a hell of a power play unit in my eyes. You got guys that can – Tkachuk is a beast in front of the net. He backs down from nobody. And it's going to be tough for Winnipeg's young defense. I mean, you're throwing that type of offensive unit against, they're all young. I mean, Neil Pionk came from the Rangers. Again, me and Jeff are familiar. Dmitry Kulikov. Then you have, Nathan Beaulieu, who didn't do much in Montreal at all. Tucker Pullman, who's pretty much a rookie. Dylan DeMello, who's formidable. Jonathan, good Lord. Josh Morrissey, who I think is their number one defenseman. I don't know. I'm not sold. I think where they come through on this is their goaltending. I like Connor Hellebuck. Laurent Brossoit, he's all right. He hasn't played much. I mean, Connor Hellebuck, he's obviously their number 1. I think this is going to be – it's going to come down to – it's just going to be a hard-fought series, and whoever can get – like I said, Calgary in 5, but whoever can get through the physicality of this series is going to come on top. And I feel Calgary edges, Winnipeg in that favor. I mean, Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and Blake Wheeler is their first line in Winnipeg. You can't forget about Patrick Laine, but then you look down the middle. They're not getting any production down the middle. Mark Scheifele, after that, you have Cody Eakin, Adam Lowry, and Nick Shore. All guys that, again, are not household names. They're not great they're not great on faceoffs. So you're down right there, down the middle. I mean, defensively as well. So I don't know. I know I talk too much about this series because I'm actually very intrigued by it. But I mean, I think you guys agree when I can say, I mean, I think this is going to be the more physical of the series. Eastern Conference, Western Conference combined. This is going to be a physical, beat-up series. Like, after this series, there is going to be a lot of hurt players that are moving on from either team, whoever moves on, in my opinion. And like I go Calgary 5. So we're going to go to the Western Conference, guy. Winnipeg.
Hey! I've been really chomping while you've been talking, Matt. All right. So I have watched the Calgary Flames in the last 2 or 3 years, go from mild, like, obscurity where, like, their only good player in most people's eyes was, like, Jerome Analia or Ginla, who was a complete boss. Let's not even get it twisted. But now you look at Calgary and these top two lines are just too good. They're too good. And the last times we played Calgary, they do not back down. That top line does not back down. They won't be pushed around by your defense. They won't be pushed around by your forwards, and they will make every single shot count until they score on you. And they're notorious for running up the shot counter. So with that being said, yeah, you have Gaudreau, you have Lindholm, you have Monahan. That just – I mean, that top line together has well over 40-plus goals. I mean, it's amazing. And then you have Tkachuk and Backlund and Lucic, who I hate because I think everybody has a I hate Miljan Lucic story. Like they have a I hate Brad Marchand story because Boston just leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth. I don't know why.
I agree.
I can give a couple of reasons, but we're not going to get into
Yeah, no, we're not going to go there. But, you got to – I mean, Lucic gets in, he does his business. I mean, the guy's kind of like a pest, but he's like the best kind of guy to get up under your skin and make you draw the penalty. And then, Hannafin and Rasmus Anderson with defense and Mark Giordano and TJ Brody. I mean, just putting an absolute blocking power right there on the D-line. And then Cam Talbot, I'm familiar with him too, mostly from his Edmonton days. Okay. And yet again, Cam gave us a lot of trouble a lot of the time. He was really frustrating to get a couple in on. And David Rittich, just as good. I mean, you can't go wrong. Winnipeg, okay, I have some very harsh feelings about Winnipeg, mostly because of our first-round exit a couple years ago. Dustin Byfuglien, I'm looking at you, man. That was mean, what you did. That's not acceptable. No, but it's like when we talk about physicality, I think about when Dustin Byfuglien played for Winnipeg. The guy is just a giant, and he just pushed people. That's it. I mean, not only that, but he could actually play. But you got Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler, Kyle Connor. I mean, yet again, another high-scoring top line. And then you got Ehlers, Aiken, and Laine. I mean, really, it's just how much can you score before the other guy and hold on to the lead before the last buzzer goes. And that too with their defense, I don't really know many of these guys. Nathan Bleu, Tucker Pullman. Tucker Pullman might sound familiar, but yeah.
I think this is his first full year of playing in the NHL. Beaulieu came from Montreal. He wasn't doing too much there.
Yeah.
There's really not a lot to be said about that defense in Winnipeg, to be honest with you.
Nah. But then you look at Hellebuck. So I got to give him credit. He made life very hard. Hellebuck is just one of those guys. He's another fantastic goalie. He's only 27 years old. I mean, his goals against is 2.55, and then his save percentage is like not .923. I mean, he's great. He's very good. He's got a great bunch of forwards in front of him. Not much in the defense department, but yet again, it's like Toronto's old idea of if I can just score more goals than you, I don't have to worry about defending against you.
Yeah, well, that's what Toronto worries about now anyway.
Yeah. So
we're back on this Toronto thing. We got to stop.
Yeah. Oh man, I already have half of Canada hating me. I'm not welcome in Ontario anymore. I got an angry letter, an angry polite letter from a Canadian. So I'm sorry, but you're wrong, bud. Good God, bud. Give it a tug. So no, I'm with you guys. It's gonna be a fight to the death, and it's a toss-up. It goes 5 games, but I'm gonna have to eke the win out to Calgary, just purely based off of the fact that those top 2 lines are just ridiculous. Goaltending is solid. I think they're gonna make it hard on the little tiny. I am sorry about that. The little tiny boys from Winnipeg, the little scrawny fly guys. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people hurt after this series. I agree with that too. But I'm giving it to Calgary in 5.
Wow. The kid that's screaming in the background, he's not a Maple Leafs fan, is he? That might be the reason.
No. That's my son. He's a Nashville fan. He just doesn't know it yet.
I was just banking on your shit talking of Toronto. Maybe
yeah.
Every time you talk, a Maple Leafs fan screams.
It sounds like that. I can hear them.
For sure. Jeff, all right, let's talk about this hard-fought series, man.
All right, so it's the only series I didn't have time to do any kind of research on, so I have their screens up, and I'm trying to, go through it real quick. But I'm going to call this the series. Anything you can do, I can do better series. Because you guys are saying it's going to be a hard-hitting series. It's going to be a fast-paced series. Mm-hmm. It's going to be that one guy, oh, you want to hit that hard? Well, I'm going to come in and I'm going to hit you even harder. Oh, you're going to snipe my goalie. Well, I'm going to come down and I'm going to snipe your goalie. And they're going to go back and forth doing it. But I've always enjoyed both these teams, watching them play. But there's something to say about Winnipeg. Winnipeg has always been a young, fun bunch of guys that just came up from Atlanta, and they're trying to prove themselves because they didn't have much down at Atlanta. So you get back to the frozen tundra, and you're like, all right, it's time to have fun. We're able to do this, but you know what? Balls to the wall. We got to get something done. I think they're going to come out of this series, honestly. Cam Talbot, he's hit or miss. Mm-hmm. He's either standing on his head or he's juggling balls like a clown in a circus. And then you have Riddick, who honestly got slapped in the face this year by by Svechnikov, and is still wondering where the hell the puck is to this day.
That was him that did the Michigan move. He did the Michigan move.
Svechnikov did I was at that game. It was one of the best games I've been to. I saw it live, and I almost dropped my panties that day because it was that good.
I would have. Sick goal, right, boy.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, you see stuff like that live, and you're just like, holy hell, that just happened. And then you have Calgary, which I'm going to make the statement right now. I'm so mad that this playoff series is happening because I wanted to see the Battle of Alberta. I wanted to see Calgary versus Edmonton. That would have been such a bloodbath in its own in the first round. Oh, but yeah, even Edmonton picked up. I mean, or Edmonton. Wow, I got Oilers on the brain. The Flames went out. They did their research. They got who they needed to get. They got the big body Lucic. And you know what? He's done what he's had to do. You got Johnny Hockey, who wears a cowboy hat, rides horses, and skates at the same time. I know it's impossible, but I've seen it. And then, I mean, you got all the young guys around them. If Calgary doesn't make it this year, you know what? They still got next year, and they still got a lot of room to improve, minus Lucic. Let's get rid of him. Let's dump him. Let's bring in somebody that's actually worth a player to get the job done, as well as be that physical presence.
Yeah, Any team should just have a shirt that says, let's get rid of Lucic. Fuck that guy. He is a real piece of shit. I don't care who he plays for. He could play for LA. He can go to the Cardiff Devils for all I care. We were talking about that before over in Wales. He'll still be a piece of shit. Doesn't matter.
No. He'll be a piece of sheep shit.
Right?
You're right. There's a lot of sheep over there.
He'll be a piece of shite, lads. Shite. Shite.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys, like, and even looking at him, like, you look at the way he looks and the way he plays and his big ass shoulder pads, and he looks like his head he has no neck, and you don't like him. You just don't like him. He looks like a real dickhead, and he's just one of those guys. He's one of the guys in the NHL that I don't care where he goes. I dislike him. I'll only like him when he retires. Now, on the other hand of that, you look at, Tkachuk. Dude, I love the way he plays. He could score. He's good on the puck. He's strong on the puck. He's an agitator. He'll get under anyone's skin. He'll draw penalties. He'll get in front of the net. He's not afraid of shit. That's a guy that you like. That's a guy that plays hard-nosed hockey. Lucic, he had that one good year, I think, in Boston where he had like 30-some-odd goals. And after that, he just took a shit, and he's just a guy that goes out and wants to fight people. And he's not even good at that anymore. So I don't know. The money he's getting paid as a goal scorer, and he's not. And
Lucic, my bad, Donnie.
No, go ahead.
Lucic is, you can kind of look at Lucic as the game Frogger, because he's trying to hop on a team that's going to keep him, but he keeps on getting railroaded every time he gets there.
He's so bad. I hate him. Dislike him. And Edmonton did the right thing when they cut him loose, and Calgary decided, oh, maybe. And no, they already have that guy, Tkachuk. There's no need to keep Lucic.
Yep.
And he's just going to eat your salary. Maybe he'll be on Seattle. That would suck for me, because I'm going to like Seattle. And if they don't protect him and Seattle picks him up, it's going to be very hard for me to like jump on board, especially with the Lucic train. So, but we'll get off of him. So we
just
both.
One last note on that.
Yeah.
If Seattle does pick him up, at least you don't have to ask whether they're smoking.
We already know. So yeah, Jeff's going with Winnipeg. Me and Drew going with Calgary on that one. I still think it's going to be a hell of a series. I will enjoy watching every single game of that series. It'll be fun. We're going to move on to a series that I'm interested in, and this is honestly my upset series of the playoffs. So this is the Chicago Blackhawks and the Edmonton Oilers. On paper, and probably everyone but me, including Blackhawks fans, are picking Edmonton in this series. Here is my reason why you shouldn't. And I'm kind of advocating for the team that's on my shirt. And I don't know why. Moving here, I kind of enjoyed watching them. It brought me to West Coast hockey. So I'll stick with that until Seattle comes, and then maybe we'll have a divorce. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I really
signed.
Yeah, we'll see. I really feel, obviously, Edmonton has the firepower. All right, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. But then as soon as you say those two names, it's hard to think of anyone else on that team for secondary scoring. In my eyes, you got Tyler Ennis. You have Neil, another guy who I can't stand. Anywhere he goes, ugh, gross.
Good old real deal.
Yeah, I know you. Yeah, I mean, I know you probably enjoy him, but he's gross. So yeah, I mean, Leon Draisaitl, Art Ross, awesome player, probably gonna win, the Hart Trophy over Panarin more than likely this year. I'm hoping not, but he's just that damn good. I just don't see them. They have no secondary scoring. They have a young team, and that's fine. But now hear me out on the Blackhawks. And Drew, I know you're gonna hate me with this because I know this is one of your biggest Achilles Yeah, exactly. So you have guys in Chicago. You have Jonathan Taves, Patty Kane, Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook, Brendan Saad. That core has won multiple Stanley Cups in that city. You bring in, these young guys, DeBrincat, Kirby Doc, Dominic Kubalik, all these guys. I mean, Adam Boqvist on the blue line. I like what they're doing. I like what they're building. I enjoy watching them play. Mixed the young with the new, and you have role players on that team and the playoff smarts of all those guys that have won together. I just see this being, I just see, for some odd reason, the only thing I can see Chicago having a problem with is their speed. Athanasiou, Connor McDavid, Yamamoto, Draisaitl, the speed. I mean, Brent Seabrook and Duncan Keith skate like they have cement shoes. Let's be honest. They'll blow by him, but it just comes down to playoff experience where you know where to play at that point. You know where to not get burned. You've been there before. Now, I know I've preached, playoff experience in this style of playoffs and how this is happening. Doesn't really mean much. There's no crowds. There's no momentum. There's nothing. But I don't know. I feel this being the upset special, man. I feel Chicago comes in, wins in 5 games. People are going to hate me for it. I was just on a show, the Chicago Blackhawks Ringcast, with a bunch of Chicago Blackhawks fans that just shit on the Blackhawks all day and weren't understanding where I was coming from when I said this. Now, Crawford is back from his stint. I think he was sick with COVID or he was hurt. I'm not 100% sure. They haven't disclosed that because the NHL won't. I really do think it was COVID. His first practice was less than stellar. 3 soft goals in a matter of like 10 minutes. Tough showing. But I think they rushed him. Now you have, Dahlia and you have Subban. If Crawford plays to his ability, yeah, I like the Blackhawks in this one. If it's Subban and Dahlia, I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I have this feeling like Edmonton's going to lose and get the first pick like they always do, and it's just going to be the first pick Edmonton, and somehow they'll screw it up and not pick Lafreniere because the Oilers.
Because for those reasons.
I mean, not for nothing. The first 2 picks in this year's draft are solid. So if they go off of those 2, they'll be fine. Whoever does, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm picking Chicago in 5, not because I'm wearing the shirt, not because I just feel that playoff, experience mixed with a solid group of guys. You got guys like Kubalik who can shoot from anywhere. He's solid on the puck, knows how to play the game the right way, is in the right spot at the right time always while he's on the ice. He just puts himself in the right areas to make himself useful. And he's going to be a great young player. Adam Boqvist back on the blue line, solid D-man. Excited to see what he does. Kirby Doc came in this year. Huge guy. Of course, he's going to play center. You put that guy in front of the net, he's 6'4", like he's gigantic. There's no way. Put that guy in front of the net. Let Kubalik shoot. Let Duncan Keith, Seabrook, whoever shoot the puck. And I also forgot about Calvin DeHaan. And I mean, DeHaan's a solid defenseman. He was good with the Islanders. Sorry.
He was a great guy in Carolina, too. Got to meet him a few times. He got to know who I was just because I wore the kilt. So me and him stayed in contact for a little while.
Yeah, I mean.
Did you just say something positive about the Islanders, Donnie?
I want to throw up.
You just did, didn't you, Donnie? Didn't you, Donnie?
I want to throw up.
Just that you meant to say for the Canes. He did good for the Canes.
Yeah, he did good for the Canes, not that other team in New York. And I don't mean the Sabres. No, but yeah, I mean, that's just where I feel about this series. I think Chicago is going to come out on top on this one. And I just like the way they weren't playing great. They got into the playoffs. They're the 12th seed in the West. I feel this is the one where Edmonton's playing in Edmonton, and they're going to do Edmonton-style things, and it's just going to bite them in the ass, and they're going to lose, and Chicago's going to move on. And the double-edged sword to this, talking to Blackhawks fans and living here, is that might be the worst thing that can happen for the Blackhawks is to win this series, but I just think they do. Why? Because their management and their front office will just stay the course, and that's not what this team needs. They need to revamp. They need to rebuild. And, yeah, if they beat Edmonton, they'll be like, oh, gee, we beat one of the better teams in the Western Conference. Maybe we should just keep the team the way it is. No, don't do that at all. Rebuild the fucking team. Try to shed that Seabrook contract. No one's going to want him. Send them to fucking – I don't care where you send them. And now there's no comprehensive buyout, so you can't do that. Figure it out. But that contract is an albatross, and it is gross. And they need to figure something out with that, but they need to rebuild. I'm still picking them to win this series. I've gone on and on about this. I'm pretty sure I know where Drew is going to stand on this, but I want to ask him anyway. I mean, what do you think on this series?
All right. I'm going to be as implicitly unbiased as I possibly can.
Oh, you're full of shit.
Well, that's why I got Brown.
You didn't do all that well when it came to play well with others, did you, Drew?
I mean, hey, Okay. And besides, what do I have to worry about Chicago for anyways? We swept them back in 2017, toppled the Empire for the better good of the entire Western Conference. You're welcome. So I don't know. Like, I feel like we got our revenge a couple years ago. I'm not bitter. I've never been bitter. Okay. Not a lot. Okay. So this matchup, definitely interesting to see the 12 go against like the 5, and just given who's in the spots in general, it's a really odd matchup to me. It's a weird playoff matchup that can only really happen in my mind in this format. So I think we see something unique. And my thing is Chicago finishing 31st last season in the entire league, finishing like bottom 5. I can see why Chicago fans are upset. But you have to admit they have that experience. I hate to say it. Okay, I'll give you a little bit of slack, Blackhawks fans. 2 cups in 1 decade is nice. Okay? And the majority of this team, maybe not the majority, but a good portion, was a part of both those cup teams. Namely, mostly some of your top line guys, right? So they've been here. They've won cups. They have experience. They know what they're doing. Did the Quenneville, the Coach Q thing, moving to Florida and all that jazz change something? I think it took the wind out of their sails. I think it might have disheartened them a lot. Because really, Quenneville wasn't bad. He wasn't a bad coach. He was pretty all right. His front office was looking for somebody to blame for, losing games. So you can't really get mad at Chicago. And then yet again, Corey Crawford, if he plays his best, when he's on it, he's one of the best goalies in the league, hands down. End of story. Crawford is the man when he's on. When he's off, you might as well have put like a 3-year-old like Mike's goalie in net and just gave him an ice cream cone. That's how bad it gets.
Man.
So, I mean, and then you have Malcolm Subban. I think Boston didn't know what to do with him. Vegas didn't know what to do with him. They certainly weren't going to try and like up-train him or try to get him somewhere in a good spot to be a decent backup goalie. And I'm not just saying this for the sake that he's PK's brother. I like PK. He wasn't that great, but I think Subban has potential. I don't think any of the teams he's fallen in with yet has realized that. But then again, playing backup to Corey Crawford, I mean, the kid's got to learn something, right? Like something at least. So you have that, and then Colin Delia.
Fleury, too.
Yeah, that too. So he has to know something. You know what I'm saying? I think if you give him a shot, maybe play him a little bit more next season, kind of see how it goes, because Crawford's like 35. he's getting up there for a goalie. I mean, he's starting to hit those later years. So, but yeah, I mean, the forwards for Chicago are still great. DeBrincat, Taves, and Saad, Nylander, Strom, and Kane on second line, Kubliak, Dach, and I don't even know how to say his name. I'm gonna Drake Kagulia. I don't know. Sorry, Blackhawks fans. Don't draft people that I can't pronounce. But yeah, no. I mean, just those three lines right there are pretty solid forward lines. And even, like you said, the defense is really slow. But I think as long as they're still able to play and use their combined playoff knowledge, they'll know when to strike, when not to strike, when to get hot, when to cool down a little bit, kind of keep a good balance going all in all. And then you look at Edmonton. Yeah, that's right. I'm looking at you, Alberta, Edmonton people.
You're just hating on Canada. I mean, they're going to be
I don't hate Canada. That's the thing. I don't hate Canada. I don't.
Calm down, South Park. Calm down.
Hey, I like you, buddy. I ain't your buddy, guy. But no, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor McDavid, Zach Kassian, and then they acquired AA from Detroit, which I'm pretty sure Detroit was probably happy to get him gone. He was good for Detroit. He was one of their bigger names. I mean, during his time so far with the Oilers, he's got 11 goals and 15 assists. Not horrible, but at the same time, I don't know what the reasons were for Detroit letting him go. Since he was definitely one of their bigger names too.
Every year with a contract dispute with that guy, man. That's what he would want more money, and he wasn't playing to where he needed more money. And Detroit was just like, you know what? Bye.
Bye. And Edmonton was like, we'll take your expensive contract. We do that all the time. Yeah, we'll take it. Sure. And then Draisaitl, of course, and Kailer Yamamoto. I mean, those are some pretty good top lines too. Of course, Nurse and Ethan Bear on top line D. Not exactly bad guys. Clefbaum and Larson. And then you got Mike Smith.
That's what I say.
Yeah, I'm mad on both him and Kaskinen. I just I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm not big. I'm not big on either one. I'm not. I wouldn't want either one of those guys in my net for a playoff game. But I think, I mean, it's again one of those things where I also think special teams comes into play also for both teams. It's going to be. I think this is going to be another hard-fought series. I think it's going to be physical as well, given the two teams. I mean, James Neal, all those guys. I don't know. I just feel that they're going to pull, in Edmonton. Yeah. I hate to say it because, you want to like Edmonton. They have the best player in the world. Okay. Two of maybe Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. I mean, their strength up the middle is fantastic. But you look at Edmonton and you feel terrible for them. They've tried to build this team every year where they've just been shit, I would say, for the last couple years. I would say for a decade, they haven't been that great. And
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. They've had the draft picks. They've had the firepower. I mean, come on. Nail Yakupov. That's all I have to say. That guy was the most misunderstood hockey player. He was like the Alexander Semin on Washington. Like, he was just brutal. And you hated to watch it. And he just couldn't do anything. And it's just Edmonton's luck. I mean, Edmonton is NHL royalty, if you ask me. The guys that have come through there, the people that have played there, Yari Curry, Messier, Gretzky, the list goes on and on. Huh?
Grant Pierre.
Yeah. I mean,
Curtis Joseph.
We could go on for we could list Edmonton Oilers from the past, from starting in the 80s to now. And Kevin Lowe, the list goes on and on. Glenn Anderson.
Yep. Craig
we'll be here
McTavish.
forever. Yeah, we'll be here
yes.
forever. So you want to like Edmonton. They're NHL royalty. Obviously, the great one played there for the majority. Well, not even majority, but he put them on the map. He did his thing. But now you just look and you have Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid. He could be on any team. The guy could go onto the Ottawa Senators and make that team a playoff team. But I don't know. It's just their last couple years, man. Their luck has been shit.
That's
And
my thing too, though. Like they, what I've noticed from just watching them try to build, they always try to build around McDavid and Draisaitl. Like that's their two anchors. Like that's the only thing they got going. So they try to take these other players who are like average and thinking that if you put them with Draisaitl or you put them with McDavid on top line, they're going to pan out and the whole line's going to explode. Well, that's just not the case. Leon Draisaitl leads his line with 43 goals, and Double A and Yamamoto only have 11. Like, it's clear who's doing all the work.
yeah,
You can't put the entire team on the backs of two guys. You can't do it.
and that is my point. You just said it too. I don't know. I feel Chicago is more spread out. Patty Kane, Jonathan Taves. I've said the names. The scoring is more spread out. They got the experience. But I mean, where do you have this series falling, Drew?
Oh, boy. Man. I might get kicked out of Smashville for this one, boys. I might get kicked out, lose all my rights for jerseys and everything. I'm going to have to pull for Chicago.
Wow.
I don't want to – yeah, it hurts. It hurts.
That's it. You better lock your doors.
But when you look at the spread, I'm with you. When you look at the talent, when you look at the experience spread out across 4 lines of forwards, 3 lines of defense through this series, it might go 5. So I'll go ahead and say Chicago in 5, maybe. And that's tentative. I might change that later. But I'm with you. You can't look at Chicago's lineups and just be like, well, Edmonton because Draisaitl and Edmonton because McDavid or whatever, because those goalies are both soft. They're both soft. I'm sorry, they are. So, yeah, it's going to be Chicago. As much as it hurts my heart, it's going to have to be Chicago in 5.
Man, I don't know if I could ever do that, but God bless you for that one. Jeff, I know you're a big goalie guy. We've talked about this, and this is one of those series where, I mean, the goalie matchups are garbage. So
you guys have said a lot of the stuff that I've already looked into, the points and who the people are going to. So I'm going to throw a little comical humor into this. And the best way I can explain watching McDavid and Draisaitl, I've been, like I said, season ticket member to the Canes. I've seen these guys play live a couple of times within the last few years. And it's kind of like the Oilers are preparing for war. And they're the ones with a F-22 and the joint strike fighter or joint strike fighter 35 that are going to come in. They're going to come in strong. They're going to come in fast, and they're not going to know what hit them on the other team until it's too late. Now, if they can pick up and rebuild, kind of like Germany did after World War II, then you know what? If they can rebuild after that quick striking, they're going to come back and take it over. The goaltending is going to be the key factor in this. Crawford, a healthy Crawford, like you said, he does tricks with his eyes closed, making glove hand saves. But when he's not on his game and he's not 100%, you know what? You might as well give him like you said, ice cream cone or a lollipop and read him a bedtime story because it's lights out. Mm-hmm. But then you have 2 goalies that are Subban. Yes, he does have playoff experience, but he doesn't have playoff experience. He sat there and watched pretty much every single game from the bench when the Knights and Washington were playing. Unless, if I'm wrong, he may have played in a little bit of a game. But I mean, and then they have who's the other back? Dahlia. He has what? very little to none when it comes to playoff experience.
I don't think he has any, honestly.
I don't think he does.
No.
Now, you brought in experience over young. I'm going to wipe all that out of the window, or wipe that all off the table, I should say, because this is a brand new system. No one's ever played this kind of system before, and they're both going to come in. They're going to try to get the first couple of wins real quick, because right there, if you get the first couple of wins, that means you're one game away. Mm-hmm. Or then if the other team ties it up, you're like, all right, I still have one more game. If I get that one more game, we know we can push through. I see this going 4 games. And this, it's a craving rage for most of the women in Chicago. And the only thing that Chicago has for them is their hot coach. And I'm not talking about the win streak. I'm talking about the coach, because his win-lose streak doesn't match up to what his actual looks are like from what the women are saying.
Jeremy Collins.
Yep.
All right.
I mean, I guess he's a hottie in the NHL. Who knows?
He was a former Islander too, so
yeah. So I'm going to end this by saying, in the end, I see Edmonton hammering this out like an adult flick with no cuddles at the end of it in 4 games.
Wow. Okay.
Bold. I like it.
Thank you.
I do appreciate boldness.
There we go. Hey, I mean, I like I said, I this was my upset special. Doesn't mean it has to be everybody's. I was just curious on what you guys thought about it. I don't know. It's just something I feel about it. And knowing Edmonton the last couple of years, you feel for them. So we'll see where that goes. So Drew, undecided. I still have Chicago going in 5. Jeff, 4 games, 2 Edmonton. I'm sure Drew jumped on that bandwagon, so we can put him. He sounded excited about that. So
I mean, any day the Hawks lose, I'm happy. But hey, it's whatever.
Yeah. So now we get to see excited Drew, because now we're going to talk about the last series. We saved the best for last. Well, in my eyes, for Drew, we're going to be talking about Nashville and Arizona. I still want to call them Phoenix, for Christ's sake, but they're Arizona.
Just call them Glendale.
There you go. This series,
Glendale suburbs.
This series to me is going to be one of those. Again, another one of those crapshoots in my eyes. You have a team that in Nashville that has, I think, and Drew, you can agree with me, and I know I'm jumping into troubled waters here, but your fan base and the crowd and the atmosphere in Nashville is what drive that team.
A lot, yeah. I would say that, yeah.
Now, going into a playoff where you're not allowed any fans, and don't kill me,
no,
Arizona is used to that.
That is funny, though. It is funny.
They're not playing in front of sold out crowds. Let's put it that way in Arizona, and it's a shame because I really think they have a good product on the ice. The team that they've put together here of late is pretty stellar, offensively, defensively. But both of these teams have good offenses. However, on paper, this year anyway, they've struggled on offense. Both teams. They struggle to put the puck in the net. And what sucks for Nashville this year is the goalie tandem with Saros and Rene, which is the first time they can say this because that was their strength, but it's been a weakness this year.
Yeah, it's been weird. So, yeah. Like the past 2 postseasons, Rene, and he's my favorite player, dude. Like, he's the guy for me. Rene is getting up there in age. He's 37.
Mm-hmm. He's like Henrik.
I mean, yeah, just like Henrik. You know, it's clear, and it becomes even more clear after the 2017 playoffs that window keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller for him. I hate it for him because he's a fantastic goalie. He's on I would say 85% of the time, Pekka is just incredible. He kills it. But it's that last back half where he's not, and he completely looks like a flounder. So then you look at Saros, and you want to say, well, he's the kid. He's 25. He's about around the same age when Pekka played his first game with Nashville, and his first appearance against Chicago. I would add back then. So Saros, we call him Pekka Jr. We call him our pocket Pekka. Yeah. Yeah.
Just in case.
Obscene a bit, but
I mean, sorry.
Emergency situations.
Emergency situations. But it's become less of that with him. Last season they started to get an almost equal amount of starts. So I'm kind of noticing a changing of the guard for the in-net presence with us. And even so, this past season has been rough on both of them. I don't know what it is. Maybe, Pekka's getting more starts because they want to hold on and use them as much as they possibly can to get as many points as they can and then keep Saros healthy for the postseason. I don't really know the inner workings behind that. But to me, the Winter Classic was a complete letdown to show the league. It's like that's a big deal, and we kind of boondoggled it. I didn't really, I don't know. And to me, that really hurt. I know it definitely hurt the goaltending aspect too. And like I said, usually, when Rene plays, he's as good as anybody. He did win a Vezina. That goes for something. That says something. Yeah. So, yeah, the goalie tandem, I don't know what's going on. I'm hoping that during this extended break with the lockdown and the stoppage of play and all this, that we're able to get back on track with that, get everybody trained up, everybody's healthy, can breathe. All right, let's go back into this. And to your point, too, about not having the fans there, I will admit that the fans play a huge part in the energy output of the team. I've never really seen a team that really plays more off energy, in my opinion, than Nashville. Maybe Carolina probably does a lot. I'm sure y'all do down there. So, is it going to be challenging for them to come into an empty arena with no fans and no, hey, you suck. With our awesome chants, is it going to be hard? Yeah, of course. But I think as long as they're able to go into this kind of understanding how to play it, how to better work Arizona, and just get their own energy. I think the guys are going to have to work hard and feed off of each other now more than ever. So to switch to that point, the captain. I don't know how y'all feel about Roman Josi.
Well, I love it.
I like Roman. I love him. He's up for one of the awards this year.
He's up for Norris.
Yeah, he's up for Norris this year. Who better, right? I think captains, and I thought about this after last week we talked about it. The captains and the on-ice leadership is going to have to really step up to charge these guys up, to help them be motivated, to help them get out there shift after shift and make it count. So your captains, your alternates, you got to start pounding it into your guys now that, hey, we're going to go in here. I don't care if it's the COVID Cup or it's got an asterisk. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, someone's getting their name carved in Lord Stanley. That's it. That's all that matters. So if they can feed off of that, if they can feed off of each other and leadership steps up on the ice and just motivates and drives the team, I think we'll do absolutely fine.
Yeah, you look at the top two lines in Nashville, Philip Forsberg, Ryan Johansson, Victor Arvidsson, and then second line's Kyle Turris, Matt Duchene, and Michael Granlund. Those are solid two lines.
Yeah, I would say that, like, the thing with Kyle Turris, real quick, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
The thing with Kyle Turris that I did appreciate about Laviolette benched him a lot. He scratched him a lot. And I don't like that. I actually watched Kyle Turris's first game in Nashville versus Washington when he first got traded from Ottawa. And I was impressed. Like, the guy is fantastic. And why he didn't get more ice time this season really, really, really bothered me. I think KT can play as well as anybody else on the team. I think that getting rid of Laviolette, as much as he was a part of our history, I mean, we did get rid of Barry Trotz too. So, I mean, you know, Hines, I think now that Kyle's back in the lineup, I think Hines will be able to figure out the way to properly utilize him, even at playing left wing. He can switch. He's a great two-way player. He's fantastic. Let him go out, do his thing, put him on a good line, and let him roll. And Duchesne and Granlund, I mean, Trotz, Tortorella. Back in Duchesne's days in Colorado, he was kind of known as a little prick. That's at least what I heard. And I feel like he's done a lot of growing. So now that he's in Nashville, a place where the guy wants to be, he wanted to be here. And so that does a big deal too. So I think, top two lines, especially Jofa, which is what we call the top line of the Jofa line. That is fantastic. I mean, Forsberg, Johansson, and RV, they just have fantastic chemistry. They're passing pucks blind, and they just know that their guy is already back here. They don't even got to think about it. So
no, for sure. And I mean, I would say 3 of your 6 defensemen are just solid. I mean, Ryan Ellis, Roman Josi, Matthias Ekholm. I mean, I can't really speak on, Dante Fabro, Jared Tenorti. And then I think there's a rookie you guys have playing, Corbinian Holzer.
mm-hmm.
I mean, solid defensively. Your power play, penalty kill lines. I mean, again, solid. Craig Smith, Michael Granlund, Forsberg, Yossi, and Turris on the first. I mean, you guys are so good on the power play. You have Ryan Johansson and Victor Arvidsson playing on the second unit, and Duchesne on the second unit. That's impressive. I think it's going to be one of those series where, Jeff said, whatever you can do, I can do better. Because then, moving on to Arizona, where you have a solid group of young guys. I mean, Clayton Keller plays on the third line. You got Taylor Hall, Christian Dvorak, Connor Garland is their first line. Carl Soderberg, Nick Schmaltz, Phil Kessel, on the second line. I mean, Phil Kessel is sitting there just eating his hamburgers and hot dogs and drinking his Pepsi and hanging out and doing his thing and in the nice weather playing his golf. Phil is like one of those guys. I love Phil Kessel because he has this lure about him where he's just a fat kid, but he likes hockey. It's so funny, and he's good at it too. It's so funny to watch. And he's really great, and he sounds like this when he talks, and he thinks he's a tough guy on the ice. But man, he can shoot with the best of them, and I really enjoy watching him play. You got Derek Stepan. I mean, playoff hero for the Rangers several times. Love Derek. They have a solid 3 lines on this team in Arizona. I mean, your third line has Derek Stepan, Lawson Krause, and Clayton Keller. Clayton Keller was killing it, not this year, last year, and he was doing really well. Then, you have their defense is solid too. Arizona is 3rd in the league in goals against. They have a great defense. I mean, Ekman Larson, Jason Demers, Jacob Chychrun, Gologowski, Nicholas Hjalmarsson. I mean, I remember him from Chicago. He played great. I mean, and then you look at their goaltending, and their goaltending is it's just one of those things where it's solid. You have Darcy Kemper, you have Antti Ranta. Any one of those guys you put in net in a 5-game series, that's tough for you. So in my eyes, and I see this going 5 games, and honestly, I feel Nashville can pull this out, and I say again 5 games. I think Nashville wins this series just based on their defense and their solid 2 lines. I think they come alive in this series, overpower the young guys out in Arizona, and just play solid hockey. I honestly think Nashville pulls this out. I think their goaltending comes together. And that's not because I'm sitting here talking to a Predators fan. It's just mainly just solid hockey across the board. You have a defensive core like they do in Nashville, solid 2 lines. It's why I say 5 games. And I think a lot of these series are going to go 5 games because it's only 5 games and because these teams are solid. They're fighting for, everything they can. I mean, there's maybe 3 teams in this 2014 playoff that probably shouldn't be in the playoffs at all. Whereas the other teams that were there were still close. They still were playing good hockey. So it's going to be fun to watch this series too. It's going to be a very fast series, I think, with Arizona. I think they're a fast team. I think they move the puck well. Nashville, the same. I mean, you got a guy like Duchesne on the ice, Forsberg, all these guys, they move the puck well. They're shooters. They're snipers. These guys play good hockey. And it's going to be fun to watch. I'm going to go 5 games. I'm going to go Nashville. Drew, give us your prediction on this one because I know where you're going, but do you think it goes 5 games?
So I think it goes 5. That's a good question because I'm with you. There's a lot of things that play into this year. Arizona in a playoff spot. Really, the last couple of years we haven't been talking about Arizona in a playoff spot.
No.
So that you think, and just when you think Arizona is the worst team in the league, here comes Detroit and Ottawa. Like, hold our beer. Hold on a second. We could be worse. We could be way worse. And then you talk about teams who shouldn't be here. Whatever. And the teams that shouldn't be here will weed themselves out first. That's what I think. The guys who shouldn't have made it in the first place, they'll weed themselves out. But then again, it's the playoffs, man. Anything can happen. Mm-hmm. So back to Nashville and this Arizona matchup. Forsberg, Johansson, and RV, the Jofa line has put in for us ever since 2017, 2016. Like, they're just legends. They're legends in Nashville. They're going to be probably one of the most prolific lineups in our history. And then back in that is Turris, Duchesne, and Granlund. Mickey can get some. Like, he can get them. When he wants them, he can come in on the high slot, wherever you need him by the blue line, and he's just there. And then Matt Duchesne, you just talk about presence in general. The guy can work just about any part of the ice, and he's dangerous anywhere he goes. And even third line, too, Grimaldi, Bonino, and Smith. This is actually my favorite line. Personally, my favorite line. And they're the third line.
I like Grimaldi, not because he's Italian. I just like his name. I think he's a great player.
He's my height, first of all. So short guys for life, right? So, like, he's my height, and he plays phenomenal. I will never forget the Spinorama play on Copley when they played Washington. Nashville hadn't seen that in a long time. And then you had what Philip Forsberg did to the poor old Colorado guy as he went between the legs on him. Just that in itself, you think about the moments these guys can create and the chances and opportunities they make too. And that's in part to the defense. Yossi and Ellis are probably the best top pair we've ever had. Ekholm and Fabro. Fabro's fantastic. The kid's just good. He's young. We just got him out of college and did a stint in Milwaukee for a little bit. We brought him up, and the kid can play in the show. So be it. Let him roll. And then Hamuse is an old veteran of ours, went away for a while and played for Dallas, came back, and really Hammer is just really good at grinding people. He's just really good at hitting and wearing people down. And as far as Corbinian Holzer, didn't get to see a lot of him yet. I've seen some training camp stuff and some interviews, but it's going to be interesting to see how he interacts on that bottom D pair. I think it's pretty smart what Hines did right there. So, and then the goalie tandem between Saros and Rene. I mean, Saros and Rene lived together for like the first 2 years that UC lived in Nashville. So they're really close. They talk all the time. They train together. So I just think this break probably is good. It's probably a very good thing for both of them. So now they can get back with the coaching staff and really try to figure out what they got to do to make this work this season, especially with this postseason matchup with Arizona. So, yeah, I think the Preds, will be just fine. I just think things will have to iron it out. And Hines never got a chance to implement a new system. Every coach runs it differently. Y'all know that.
Yep.
So I think the more we get to see more of Hines' system and how he plays with these guys, I think just adding Kyle Turris back in the lineup and not scratching him is a fantastic start, and giving him an opportunity to show up and show out.
You can't scratch a guy like Kyle Turris in the playoffs.
No, he's a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
And then now I got to be fair. I gushed about my team. Now I got to be fair. Arizona. I mean, they weren't bad. They weren't horrible. They came in 11th at the stoppage in the Western Conference.
Mm-hmm.
That's higher than they've been in quite a while, so something's got to be working. Yet again, that second line, Soderberg, Schmaltz, and Phil Kessel. Phil Kessel I don't like for a multitude of reasons, mostly because he played for the Penguins. Hey, 2017. I am still bitter. I'll admit it. To all you Penguins fans right here. I am mildly salty. Low sodium, but mildly. And then, yeah, I mean, Taylor Hall, Dvorak, and Garland, I mean, that's a good top line too. I mean, even scoring across all three lines, really, everybody seems to be contributing. Hinostroza, Richardson, and Fisher on bottom. I guess, it's fourth line, so what do you expect? Yeah. But the top three lines are producing goals. They're producing assists. Ekman Larson, Jason Demers, their assists are pretty good. As far as the other two lines, I'm not really familiar with either of them. But Ekman Larson and Demers I'm pretty familiar with. So, you got that. And then you got Darcy Kemper and Antirana. I mean, that's another good goalie pair. I mean, I like Kemper, and I've always liked Ranta too. They've always been kind of like quiet favorites of mine. I just hope they do well.
We know Ranta all too well, Jeff.
We do.
Ranta, love him. Love his style. Love the way he plays. Very calm, cool, collected back there between the pipes. Love it.
Yeah.
Always smiling too.
Yeah, he has a great time anytime he plays. I love him. So, okay, this is going to sound biased to all the people listening to this, but I am going to have to go with Nashville. Nashville in 5. I think when you look at this is Arizona's first playoff slot in a while. They have some fresh faces from the last time they had a playoff spot. But yet again, sitting at 11th in the Western Conference in March, that's pretty all right. It's not bad. It's different for them. So I still think Nashville, top two lines and even the third line of forwards, and then the top two lines of defense. And if the goalie tandem can get it together, they're going to crush and destroy Arizona. So I got Nashville going in 5.
All right. I mean, I knew that was coming. I just wasn't sure if it was in 5. I knew where you were leaning. You're wearing the jersey. If you would have said Arizona, you would have gotten kicked out of fandom.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
that would have been
a
really
bunch
shitty.
of angry people at my door, torches and pitchforks. Not a good look.
Jeff, what do you think on this? Again, goalie guy. I know where you stand on this, and this is a weird type of goalie matchup.
Yo. So, again, you guys, just like the last conversation, you guys put a lot of the names out there, a lot of the goals and numbers and pairings. So I'm going to, again, toss a little bit of comic relief into this one.
Oh, we love it.
The Coyotes are kind of like that. You have 3 tacos sitting in front of you. You don't know which one has the ghost pepper, and, oh, shit, you just picked the ghost pepper one, and now you're on fire. It's kind of like one of those things. They're on fire. They're cold. They're mild. And I am throwing tacos in there because it is Arizona.
I'm hungry now. Thanks, Jeff.
But then you also have King Griller, Hot Dog Killer, Phil Kessel playing for you too. So,
man, that guy.
Anything can happen. Hot dogs can fling or pucks can go in net. It all depends on what kind of the day it is. You and I both know Stefan really well, watching him play for the Rangers for the longest time. Didn't see him going to Arizona with Ranta, but I guess it was time for him to leave New York. He's always a shocker. I think their biggest mistake in Arizona, though, was killing the heartthrob dance killer of Taylor Hall. He was supposed to be the next woohoo kid. Goes to New Jersey and yet again goes to another team that didn't make it to the playoffs the first year he was there. I think they made it last year, if I'm correct, but got knocked out early. And now he's going to a team that's still struggling and was struggling for a playoff spot. The one thing I do like about Arizona, though, is they're a sleeping dragon. And I said that at the beginning of the year with my friends. I'm like, the one team you want to watch out for is going to be Arizona. The goalie matchup between Raanta and Kemper, they're both injured at one point at the same time. Aiden Hill was supposed to play against us in Carolina. And Raanta comes off the bench and says, no, I'm not going to let him play against a team that's going to be blasting a puck at least 40 shots, 50 shots a game. So Raanta has that mentality of, I'm going to step up and do it. As for the Preds, I'm going to say this in the nicest way, Drew. But it seems like way too many catfish were left on the ice last year because they started off the starting line as if they're slipping all over whatever leftover pieces from the catfish they were.
I really don't blame you.
So up until they fired Laviette, they looked like they didn't even know how to play hockey. They didn't know if they're going to show up that day. And that's when the goalie pairings, they're still hit or miss. Yossi has his hot points, like you're saying, and so does Saros. Those are going to be the two shakiest parts of the whole entire team. What I do find even funnier, though, is they had to go after the coach that drew PK away from you guys to kind of like pick you guys up and give you a new win streak. So if I'm correct, they went like – you guys went, what, 16-4 or 16-2 or something like that when he first came on, which put you guys back to the 6th seed. So when it comes to this series – you're going to hate me, Drew, but I'm going to go for my sleeping dragon and pick the Yotes in 5.
Ooh, we about to fight. We about to fight, boy.
Wow.
Hey, I got my boxing gloves on.
Let's go. Drop. What's up? What's good?
I may be a goalie, but I'll still drop you.
That's good. That's the point. That's the point. I mean, we don't always have to agree. And I mean, I know you're a Preds fan. I mean, I picked the Preds just based on knowledge, but I like Jeff's, sleeping dragon remark too. I think, I want the Preds to win. I think they will. But you got Phil the Thrill out there, man. Phil the Thrill in the 5-game playoff series, getting his hot dogs going back in the locker room. He's good to go. Who knows? And that's the beauty of it. I mean, so you have me. And obviously, Drew picking Nashville, Jeff picking Arizona in this one. I don't think we've all been the same today. I think, Jeff, you've been throwing it off a little bit. We haven't we haven't had a unanimous yet. So that's okay. That's okay. But I will say this. I am extremely excited about next week. We have a couple of exhibition games this week where we get to see hockey on TV.
Yes, Lord.
Super pumped. Super pumped for next week's episode as well. Talking about actual hockey, and not just predicting, talking about plays, goals, all sorts of fun stuff. Super excited. I mean, guys, if you're listening and you have any questions for any of us, feel free to reach out to us on social media. Again, at Game On, everyone on Twitter, at Game On Sports Podcast on Instagram. YouTube is the full name, Game On Sports Podcast for everyone. That's where you'll find What the Puck and all our hockey stuff there. Guys, thank you so much. 2 weeks in a row. Love it. Great group. Looking like this is going to be the What the Puck group through the playoffs and hopefully on to next season. Talking whatever we can. Again, if you have any questions or you disagree with any picks, reach out to us. Come at me. If you're an Islander fan, if you're a Maple Leafs fan, even better. Don't even matter. Looking forward to hearing from everyone. And again, thank you guys, Jeff, Drew. Stay safe. Enjoy the week. Enjoy the exhibition games this week. And we'll be back next Monday with actual live hockey analysis. Super excited. Thank you guys and have a good night.
An opening up the wing. They go stop.